Hey everyone, and welcome. If you've ever played around with vacuum tubes, you know there's a certain magic to them, right? Especially when you're pushing into those high-power, high-frequency projects where normal semiconductors just can't keep up. But you also know about one of the biggest little hassles, just getting the filament lit up. So today, we're going to look at a super simple, modern, and honestly, really elegant way to solve this classic problem.
Does this look familiar? I bet it does. Wrestling with some big, heavy, humming filament transformer, or maybe one of those monster variacs, just to get a stable voltage for your tube? Yeah, it's the classic way to do it, but let's be real. It feels a little clunky in the modern workshop.
Well, the fantastic news is you can pretty much leave all that heavy iron behind. We're going to walk through how a couple of tiny, inexpensive electronic modules can be a total game changer for your tube projects. Okay, so before we jump into the slick new solution, let's just take a second to talk about why the old methods can be such a pain, especially for folks like us who are building and experimenting today. This slide really says it all, doesn't it? It's like two different worlds. Over on one side, you've got the old guard, heavy, bulky, and a lot of the time pretty inefficient. And on the other side, you have this new way of thinking. These tiny, lightweight modules that give you amazing precision, efficiency, and they can adapt to pretty much any power source you have sitting on your bench. So let's get right to the heart of it. Now, the goal here isn't to replace tubes with semiconductors. Not at all. It's about using modern electronics to handle all the boring support jobs so we can let the vacuum tube do what it does best. And boom, here's the core idea. Instead of using a big chunk of iron to transform AC, we're just going to take a regular DC power source that you probably already have and use a little electronic module to dial in the perfect voltage for our tube's filament. It's clean, simple, and incredibly effective. All right, let's look at the first scenario, and this is probably the most common one you're going to run into. You've got a power supply, but the voltage is just too high for the filament you're trying to power. This is a classic, right? You've got a perfectly good 19-volt laptop brick, but your tube needs a very specific 6.3 volts. Now, you could just wire in a big power resistor to burn off that extra voltage, but that's just, well, it's just turning good electricity into wasted heat. There is a much, much smarter way to do this. And the answer is a PWM controller. That stands for pulse width modulation. Now, here's the cool part. It's not burning off power. Think of it like a light switch that you are flicking on and off thousands of times a second. By changing how long the switch is on versus off, it perfectly controls the average voltage that gets to the filament. And it does it with almost zero waste. It's so efficient. And you know, don't let their tiny size fool you. Just look at these specs. These little boards can handle a serious amount of power. We're talking up to 70 volts and maybe 40 amps. That is way more than enough for even some really power-hungry tubes. So the benefits here are just huge. You get super precise voltage just by turning a tiny little screw and watching your multimeter. And this is a big one. You can create a soft start by slowly turning up the voltage when you power on. That's so much healthier for the filament, and it can seriously extend the life of your expensive tubes. It's just a massive upgrade all around. Okay, but what about the opposite problem? What if your power supply doesn't give you enough voltage? Well, don't worry, there's an equally elegant little module for that situation too. For this job, we turn to the Boost DC/DC converter. And yeah, it does exactly what the name says. Its entire job is to take a lower DC voltage in and efficiently step it up to a higher DC voltage out. Let's look at some typical specs for these. You can see it can take a really wide range of input voltages and kick it all the way up to 50 volts on the output, all while staying incredibly efficient, like 85 to 94%. So yeah, you could take a 5-volt power bank and use it to run a 12-volt filament. How cool is that?
Now, check this out. Here's a fantastic pro tip for you. You can actually combine these two modules for the ultimate level of control. Use the boost converter to get your voltage a little bit higher than what you actually need, and then feed that into a PWM controller. That way, you get that final, super precise adjustment and that awesome soft start feature. It's really the best of both worlds.
All right, so we've got the control modules figured out, but what are we actually plugging them into? Well, the power source you choose really just depends on how hungry your tube's filament is. For the smaller stuff, preamp tubes that don't draw a lot of current, you can often get away with something really simple. A basic wall wart or an old network adapter that you probably have kicking around in a drawer will work just fine. Now for tubes that need a little more oomph, laptop power supplies are a fantastic choice. They're everywhere, they're super reliable, and they can provide dozens of watts of nice, clean DC power. Perfect for all kinds of medium power projects.
And for the real heavy hitters, the best bang for your buck, hands down, is an old ATX computer power supply. You can find these used for next to nothing, and they can deliver hundreds of watts of power. And the best part is, their 12-volt rail is a perfect match for the filaments in a lot of those big, powerful transmitting tubes. So let's just kind of bring this all together. By just thinking a little bit differently and grabbing some of these small, powerful modules, we can make working with this amazing vintage technology easier, more efficient, and way more flexible than it's ever been.
And you know, this quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head. This isn't about ditching old tech. It's about using new tech to support it, to take care of all the simple but critical background jobs so we can focus on the truly amazing things that only vacuum tubes can do. When you think about it, this approach doesn't just solve one little problem. It really opens up a world of possibilities. It makes experimenting with this stuff so much easier and more accessible. And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other classic challenges in electronics are just waiting out there for an elegant, modern solution like this one? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.
Now, whether you're going to work with vacuum tubes or transformers or transistors, you're going to be doing tons of math anyway, so feel free to just let the video roll and help yourself to some discussion on algebra.
Hey everybody, welcome back. You know, if you're anything like me, you just love getting your hands dirty, really digging into how things work, right? Circuits, physics engines, the whole shebang. But I've noticed something, a common hurdle that I've seen trip up some of the absolute sharpest people in our community. So today we're going to talk about the one thing that if you can really nail it, unlocks pretty much everything else. Let's jump in. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's something every single serious engineer or scientist eventually learns, sometimes the hard way. There's this common thread, this one skill that runs through all the cool advanced stuff we love to talk about. And if that one skill is shaky, man, it will absolutely hold you back. I don't care how brilliant you are. And here it is. This is the secret weapon. It's not the crazy high-level calculus or vector analysis that actually trips people up when they're trying to design, say, a power supply or model a system in software. Nope, it's the basics. To really command those advanced equations with total confidence, you need an absolutely rock-solid, unshakable grasp on high school algebra. I know, it sounds almost too simple, but it's the truth. So I want you to be honest with yourself for a second. How solid is your foundation really? When you look at an equation, do you instantly see the path forward? Or do you feel that little split second of hesitation, that little flicker of doubt? Because you know what? That hesitation, that's the tiny gap that separates just tinkering around from real creative design engineering. Look, you can get surprisingly far just by messing around, right? Trial and error, swapping components, it's fun. But if you're really serious about building something truly new, something from the ground up, you will eventually hit a wall. It's that point where you have to stop guessing and start calculating. And that wall, my friends, is built brick by painful brick with algebra. This is a problem I've seen so many of you bring up in the comments, which is exactly why I am so excited to show you something I found that just nails this problem. So for anybody out there who felt that little flicker of doubt we just talked about, I want to introduce you to AlgePrime. I've been looking for a resource like this for a long time, and I gotta say, I think it's a perfect fit for our community, because it's built to fix that exact foundational weakness we've all struggled with. So what is AlgePrime exactly? Well, it's a complete, really high-end algebra video series. And look, this isn't just some random playlist of tutorials you'd find online. No way. This is a meticulously designed program built by actual mathematicians, but, and this is the key part, it's designed for people like us who need to apply these skills, not just pass the test. It's all about building that foundation from the ground up, the right way. And really, it's all about this transformation. It's about going from that chaotic, frustrating feeling of kind of wrestling with the math to a place where you're calm, you're confident, and you're just building whatever it is you can dream up. A new circuit, a slick piece of software, you name it. It gets you ready to build, instead of being stuck struggling with the basics. Okay, so how does it actually do that? How does it get you there? Well, it's not just about passively watching a bunch of videos. It's about the structured, deliberate path it puts you on, building your skills one solid step at a time. This is what really makes it different. First, the whole journey is carefully guided, so you never feel lost or overwhelmed.
Second, and I love this, it constantly connects the abstract math concepts to practical real-world problems. You know, the exact kind of stuff we're always tackling on this channel. The explanations are designed to give you those aha moments, and you can actually track your progress, which is just incredibly motivating. It's a whole system, really, designed for true mastery.
But it's actually more than just a series of lessons. AlgePrime gives you a full toolkit of resources. I mean, everything is designed to support your learning from every possible angle. Let's break down everything you get.
And this is what I mean by a complete toolkit. You don't just watch, you do. You get interactive problem sets to really hammer the skills home. You get downloadable reference materials so you can review things whenever, even offline. There's even a community so you're not going through it alone. And of course, you get unlimited access to everything on any device so you can make it fit into your life, not the other way around.
All right, let's talk about the investment. For the entire complete series, that's all 150 episodes, lifetime access to all the videos, the problem sets, the community, the whole shebang, it's a one-time investment of $4,499.
Now, I know that's a significant number. Of course it is. And the people who created AlgePrime, they totally get that. That's why they've done something that, honestly, just completely removes all the risk for you.
They have a 60-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. Let that sink in. You can go through a huge chunk of the course for 2 full months, and if you don't feel like it's totally transforming your understanding, you get a full refund, period. That's how incredibly confident they are that this thing works.
So, if anything we've talked about today is hitting home for you, if you've ever, even for a second, felt like your math foundation could be stronger, then this is it. This is your opportunity to finally change that for good.
The next step couldn't be simpler. Just head on over to algeprime.com. That's AlgePrime.com. You can check out the entire curriculum there. They've got sample lessons you can watch. You can see everything for yourself and decide if this is the right path for you to finally build that foundation you need.
So let's just end on this thought. All the most complex, exciting, groundbreaking work in science and engineering, it's all out there, waiting for you. Don't let a shaky foundation be the one thing that holds you back from being a part of it. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks for watching to the end of this video. If you want more content like this, there is a playlist that should be popping up right now. Stay tuned for more. I've also made this free video for you with solutions for creativity, financial strength, and online security. I hope you'll enjoy this offer as well as all the others featured on my channel. And that concludes this video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Hermalau Tube. My name is Konstantin, reminding you that your interest is the current that powers this channel.